The new Demon Slayer movie has finally been viewed by me, Charles. I know I'm a little tardy to the party here. It came out a few days ago, but it's never too late to get this farty sharded, and let me tell ya, wow. I think it is a banger. Now, initially, I was a little skeptical on this decision here to take the final arc of Demon Slayer, and instead of just doing seasons, like anime traditionally does, they decided to break it up into movies. This is a pretty different approach to it, and I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it because I thought this would lead to like short movies where they just kind of speed run all of the content, so it'd be feeling like very underwhelming or half-baked, whereas a season gives you tons of episodes to build and then feels very satisfying when it gets to the end. I didn't know how this would pan out, but man, they cooked. I really liked Mugen Train, but Infinity Castle blows it out of the water. Not only that, it blows it out of the water and then smacks its little butt cheeks around it. This movie is incredible. Like, I know there's a big meme about Ufotable having, unlimited budget works, that kind of thing, but man, there is like some actual truth to that. I do not know how they are able to deliver this kind of quality for this long. I expected this to be a pretty short film. I knew nothing about the runtime going in. This movie is over 2 hours long, of pretty much non-stop action. The only time you have moments to breathe are when they're doing flashbacks to flesh out the character's motivation and backstory, which I can already tell some people will definitely have an issue with. I know flashbacks often get a bad rap, especially when they're used like egregiously. In this movie, though, I wasn't bothered by it at all. I actually really appreciated the flashbacks. It didn't feel rushed, and it was like a really, needed break in between action. You got to learn about the characters, what they've gone through, what this fight means to them, like in particular Shinobu versus the Upper Two, Doma. Or you get Akaza's backstory, which Akaza's backstory is the longest by far, and it is the best. It is probably the best backstory Demon Slayer has shown thus far. I was really surprised by it. I loved it. I thought it was great. But I know some people will kind of roll their eyes at it because there is quite a bit of it. But I really enjoyed it, and I was very pleasantly surprised that they gave this much tender love and care to the characters. Because again, going the movie route, they reduce the amount of time they have to work with to build up these characters and get everything out that they need to make these fights meaningful. Because having just flashy fights with no stakes and no care about either character is lame. It's underwhelming, and it's a big matter of who gives a fuck. So the fact that they did spend this amount of time crafting that and putting that in here is really nice. And it makes me very optimistic for the next couple of films to wrap up the story. I think this was just a fucking home run. I think this was a grand salami. I think most of you know I wasn't the biggest fan of the Hashira training arc that they most recently had before this film. But now, after seeing this film, it's clear they just wanted to basically take their time to get you ready for the movie. Doesn't make the season any better in my eyes, but I can now see what they were in the lab concocting, and it really does slap. Obviously, this isn't a movie you can just go into blind without seeing any of the previous Demon Slayer seasons or Mugen Train. This is the final arc. They don't really do anything to bring you up to speed. They pick up right where the last episode left off. I appreciate that. You shouldn't go into a movie like this and expect them to give you a lore recap, a refresher. So it's good that they dove right in and used all 2.5 hours to just go fucking nuts to butts on it. 2.5 hours of content. I really do feel like I got an entire season's worth out of this one movie. I actually really kind of like this model now. Of instead of doing seasons, maybe there is a lot of potential to just doing movies to adapt the source material. They are proving that the method can work. I really did enjoy the way that this was delivered. Anyway, though, the visuals are beautiful. I think if you've watched Demon Slayer, you probably expect top-notch animation. You get it here. They did not cut any corners. Now, of course, Demon Slayer has always used a bit of CG in its animation, but never the wonky dog shit Berserk 2016 level CG that people absolutely unanimously spit upon. This integrates it seamlessly, and it looks really good. Infinity Castle does definitely have some CG moments that don't stick out. They look great still. I'm gonna tell you something, sports fans, something I didn't expect to ever say. I actually think their usage of CG here blended in actually elevated some of the scenes that it was present. Like, one of the most beautiful shots in this film is when platforms are rising, when it's Akaza versus Giyu versus Tanjiro. As the platforms rise with Akaza aura farming, additional platforms rise that pour water out, and it's very clearly like CG usage here with 2D, and it looked incredible. There are so many sequences that use CG that I actually think help bring it to another level. They definitively prove that any anime that uses CG and it sucks ass, like the CG in it, it's their fault. It's not the medium. It's a tool that can be used really well here in anime. And by golly, I tell you, Demon Slayer does it the best at the moment. Now, another thing I want to point out is like a superstar here is the music. Holy shit, the music was so good. Every battle has an absolute boner jam backing it. The intro especially stood out to me with its music. It almost felt like I was watching like an AMV or something. No, I guess not really like an AMV. It's not edited like that or anything, but if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I mean. Now, the story. The story is where a lot of people criticize Demon Slayer for being just very like generic and formulaic. And admittedly, yeah, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel here by any means, but it plays by the tropes well. Yes, there are moments that are definitely cheesy, but it doesn't detract from the overall experience. And like I said, it executes on the tropes very well. So, like, yes, when it's going through the flashbacks, every character is somehow connected, like, my big sister was killed by this demon, thus I need to kill this demon. I hate you, demon, for this. And then you'll learn about the demon. It's like, the demon had a troubled past as well. Like, yes, it does play out like that, like 100% of the time, but it doesn't matter. It's still, like, enjoyable. It's still a fun story. Even if it's nothing new, per se, I still think it is done well enough that it makes you care. Especially Akaza's backstory. I would argue that was done extremely well. They spent a lot of time on Akaza's backstory in here, which I will say took a lot of balls. To dedicate that amount of screen time to a flashback backstory for the bad guy in a movie, like, you can do it in a show because, you know, maybe it takes 2 or even 3 episodes in a show, but you'll still have another, like, 10 episodes outside of that, so that way viewers don't feel like it drags or anything in there. To do that in a movie where you have significantly less time to work with and it takes up a larger percentage, it takes a lot of courage to commit to that. And I think it pays off. Like, I do think it added a lot to this to get all of that information about Akaza. It made everything feel more weighty. So I do like that direction, and I'm hoping they do more of that in the next 2 movies. I imagine they will. I don't see why they wouldn't. Now, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know, like, how much content was covered in this film, like how much they adapted here. But it felt like I got a ton of content, and it doesn't feel like it was really rushed through all that much. There's a couple instances where a few things were glossed over, I feel, in the interest of saving some time. But they did get, like, the point across, so it was still fine. But yeah, in the early parts, there were a few moments, like, in a couple flashbacks where it was, like, really quick. Like with Doma. But I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world. I think overall, it really felt like everything did actually take its time, and they weren't afraid to let things sit and linger like in Akaza's backstory. I really liked the movie. I'm sure you could tell I'm fucking gushing grannies over it right now. I thought Infinity Castle was great. If you like Demon Slayer, I think you're going to be very happy with this film, and I'm really looking forward to the next ones. That's about it. See ya.